Your brain is being changed right now. Not tomorrow. Not in the future. Now, you didn't agree to this. No one asked you. And the most disturbing part is this. Your brain doesn't see it as a problem. Because nothing hurts. Nothing feels wrong. That's exactly why it works. The human brain is very good at detecting danger, noise, pain, pressure, but it is terrible at detecting slow threats. Throughout evolution, danger was loud, sudden, impossible to ignore. This one is quiet. Your attention doesn't disappear. It gets redistributed. Small losses, tiny rewards, and your brain labels this as normal. This didn't start as a theory for me. It started as a feeling. Things that once held my attention no longer did. Silence became uncomfortable. Later, while reading about neuroplasticity, I realized how ordinary this process really is. The brain treats repetition as importance. It doesn't care where repetition happens. In a laboratory, or late at night, staring at a screen. Repeat something long enough, and the brain adapts without asking why. The brain is not a fixed structure. Whatever repeats, strengthens. Short content weakens long thought. Constant stimulation makes stillness feel unsafe. Instant reward makes patience feel pointless. Over time, the brain learns something dangerous. Stopping feels wrong. Because when you stop, the reward disappears. In controlled attention experiments, something strange keeps repeating. When people are exposed to constant stimulation, they rarely report feeling worse. Many report feeling sharper, faster, more engaged. But when reaction time, memory recall, and sustained focus are actually measured, the results quietly move in the opposite direction. Performance drops don't feel like failure. They feel like adjustment. And that's the dangerous part. The brain doesn't warn you when it adapts downward. It only warns you when something breaks suddenly. Slow change feels safe. That's why most people don't notice what they've lost until they try to return to how they used to think. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The brain confuses adaptation with improvement. When attention fragments slowly, the mind calls it flexibility. When patience disappears, the mind calls it efficiency. But the measurements tell a different story. Artificial intelligence didn't start this process. It revealed it. AI doesn't get tired. It doesn't hesitate. Its attention doesn't drift. When human cognition is compared side by side with artificial systems, the difference isn't intelligence. It's consistency. The same human, facing the same decision, can produce completely different outcomes, depending on fatigue, emotion, or distraction. Artificial systems do not fluctuate this way, and seeing that contrast creates an uncomfortable realization. Much of what we call choice depends on internal conditions we barely notice. AI doesn't replace human thinking. It exposes how fragile it can be. When researchers compare human cognition to artificial systems, the result is often misunderstood. It's not that humans are less intelligent. It's that human performance is unstable. The brain is influenced by context, by mood, by attention. And because those influences feel internal, we mistake them for free choice. The cost of this instability shows up quietly. Focus becomes harder. Waiting feels unbearable. Decisions drain energy. But nobody says something is wrong, because everyone feels the same way. And when dysfunction becomes collective, it starts to feel normal. The most dangerous sentence is this: I'm in control. The system doesn't push you. It pulls you. Slowly, comfortably. And while being pulled, you believe you're choosing. That's how control disappears without resistance. At some point, this stops being theoretical. You notice it when sitting still becomes difficult, when silence feels uncomfortable, when thinking deeply requires effort instead of coming naturally. This isn't because attention disappeared. It's because the brain learned a different rhythm, and learning a rhythm doesn't feel like losing control. It feels like adapting. That's why this change is rarely dramatic. It's quiet, personal, easy to mistake for normal life. The brain loves one sentence: it's already too late, because that sentence removes resistance. Most of the time, it isn't true. It's just comforting. Noticing this doesn't mean stopping it, but not noticing means you'll never know what you lost. Because the brain loses things quietly, and quiet losses are the hardest to detect. Your brain is being rewired. The question isn't, can this be stopped? The question is, when will you notice? What makes this even harder to notice is that nothing forces you to change. There is no clear moment where you can say, this is when it happened. No switch, no warning. Just small adjustments, repeated over time, until they become invisible. And because the change feels gradual, the brain accepts it as natural. That's how most cognitive limits appear. Not as a wall you hit, but as a range you slowly shrink. You don't lose your ability to think. You lose the space to think deeply. And that loss doesn't announce itself. It blends into daily life, into habits, into routines, into what you call normal. By the time you notice the difference, you're not asking, what changed? You're asking, why it feels harder than before. And that question matters. Because the moment you start noticing, the process becomes visible again. Not reversed, not stopped, but seen. And seeing is always the first boundary between control and drift.